Not to embarrass you, Chelsea, but when you were little, you were obsessed with Blue's Clues.
Okay.
So I kind of feel like Omni Channel is just a big Blue's Clues show where basically we're trying to collect clues, look at the data, and assess who the people are and what they like.
Hey everyone, welcome to the S.O.B Marketing Podcast, where we celebrate the S.O.B that you are, and if you haven't figured it out yet, we mean small-owned business. We don't mean S.O.B.
Listen, we know that as a small business owner, you are working hard on the daily to keep your business fully operational while trying to promote it. And while some days it may feel like the business is owning you, if we're being honest with each other, I bet you would admit that you wouldn't give up the insanity for anything.
Our commitment here at the S.O.B Marketing Podcast is to give you the real talk, what works when it comes to advertising, marketing, promoting your business, and then what doesn't really work.
And Chelsea and I promise to always keep the conversation real.
Hey Vivian!
Hey Chelsea, we are virtual once again.
I know. I feel like I'm starting to get used to it, but I'd still much rather be with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there's definitely something about I've always had a tendency of being old school anyways. Mm-hmm. I love computers and stuff, but I do like my good old pencil and paper and meeting with people in person. So as much as virtual can be fun, and it definitely allows you to jam pack more into your day, I do miss having someone in front of me.
Before we get started, just want to say, thank you to everyone who has been listening. We really hope that this information is helpful for you guys. If you have a comment or a topic that you want us to touch on, you can email us, Chelsea at The Seasoned Marketer, Vivian at The Seasoned Marketer. You can DM us on social media at The Seasoned Marketer. If you're on YouTube, just leave us a comment below. We'll see it. Just let us know what you guys want to discuss.
Yeah, what you want to hear us cover. So,
absolutely.
Small little edit there. Chelsea at theseasonedmarketer.com. Vivian at theseasonedmarketer.com. I don't want to assume that people know to put the .com.
Yes, my bad.
All right, Chelsea. Well, I think we have a really great topic today because it's a topic that is very confusing to people. So today we are going to talk about what the fuck is Omni Channel. And so do you want to go ahead and give us, because I think Omni Channel is one of those things that as a small business owner, you may not be talking about, right? So you usually when you're talking about marketing, you're talking about your advertising, you're talking about your pricing and your rates and the channels that you're using to get your messaging out there. But I don't think people use the terminology omni-channel marketing strategy or multi-channel marketing strategy.
Absolutely. So again, omni-channel is a marketing strategy. It's similar to multi-channel, like you were saying, but with a focus on your customers. So I think let's stop and discuss what exactly is multi-channel marketing. So a multi-channel marketing strategy simply means that you're using different and multiple channels to market your business to potential customers.
Yeah, and so that's the traditional advertising marketing that we all kind of know and, have been doing for years. And so that's the part where, like you said, I have a message. I sell widgets. I want to promote my widgets. I go in and decide what avenues I want to utilize to promote and let people know about my widgets. That could be advertising on newspaper, advertising on billboard, and advertising on radio. Those are my channels: television, billboard, radio, right? Newspaper. So that's typically, if you think about it, that's a little more like a hierarchy, right? So at the top, you're going to have your product, service, or your message. And then it will flow down to each individual channel. And now for each channel, you can have a little bit of a different message, but at the end of the day, it's always about you and your business and your products or services.
Omni-channel, all that it means, and I don't know how did they pick Omni Channel?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you something really funny. Showing my age here, one of my favorite movies is Home Alone 2, which is where Kevin gets lost in New York. And at the end, there's this big scene where his family gets flown out to this really nice, like, posh hotel that he's staying at. And in the morning, what's his name? His little cousin's like, oh, wake up, presents. And Kevin's like, don't you know Santa, like, we're not at home. Santa's not going to know where we're at. And the little kid says, he's omnipresent. All right. That's what Omni Channel reminds me of, the word omni. Always reminds me of this part in Home Alone too. But it's kind of like...
That's such a specific scene to remember. I'm sorry.
It is, but I don't know, because I think, to your point, we don't utilize the word omni nearly enough, right? Or the term. And what it triggers for me is when you talk about something being omnipresent, it means that it's kind of like an all being or being everywhere. Okay. So omni-channel is very much the same type of thing. Whereas the difference, though, is you're utilizing the channels. And the way I envision it in my mind is, how you have a nucleus? So the nucleus is your target audience, the person you're talking to, the consumer, the potential customer. And then for omni-channel, it's flowing from them, right? And so you have the same channels. So basically you have radio, television, website, whatever you're using, but the point is that you're focused on their experience and it's all about them. It's not about your business. I mean, you're still selling to them and you're still getting your messaging across, but the key is that you are focused on what their experience is across the board through all these channels. I think sometimes it's really helpful to have examples, real life examples that people can it solidifies the, the image of what we're talking about. So for me, the best example I can think of is Starbucks. Okay, so Starbucks has done this wonderful job with taking their ability for you to place orders and creating this type of, I don't want to say workflow, but this ease across all of their channels where it truly is an omni-channel strategy. So what they're doing is they're like, hey, you can walk in our store and you can place the orders and have a seamless transition there. You could go onto our app, have a seamless transition there, and then you can also go onto our websites, right, and do the same thing. But here's the thing is, then they also have another component where they've done a really spectacular job of making sure that what you're experiencing kind of flows together. So what I do on the app actually sends me certain types of emails, right? So they're going to customize the emails that I am receiving based off of what I'm purchasing on their app. And so they're recognizing patterns and they're like, well, I know that Vivian, she likes herself some, iced chai latte, whatever, So yeah, I do think that Starbucks is just one of those examples that a lot of people probably see in everyday use because they're going through the drive-through and spending like $6-7 on a coffee. But so Chelsea, I guess as a small business owner, then why should I even bother, or how is omni-channel going to affect my business? Like if I don't have an omni-channel strategy, like how is that going to affect my business?
So an omni-channel marketing strategy is going to help your small business with customer loyalty. It's going to help with brand recall and an increased customer retention. So at the end of the day, it's going to help your bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, that all affects your sales, right? And how many times people come back for those reoccurring sales. And I guess the key to that, too, is we talk a lot about getting people in your door, like kind of getting them into your funnels. Really, at the end of the day, what you're doing here is you're utilizing these different channels to bump them along through your customer journey. And so we're introducing another term here, customer journey. And I think it's an important one because if you are a small business owner and you have never mapped out your customer journey, I think you're missing a really big opportunity to just find out more about your business and find out more about how your business is treating your customers, your potential customers. And I know, Chelsea, what is it you say that you have to make it?
I'm a real Gen Z about this. If you don't make the process as simple and as easy as possible, I'm not buying it. I'll just give up halfway through.
Well, it's the same stuff that they tell you across the board for website clicks, right? So if you're building out a website and you have something, you're trying to buy a blouse, all right? I mean, a shirt. Gen Z, a shirt. That's a blouse.
I got it.
So you're trying to buy a blouse. If I go onto your website and it takes me 5 clicks to get to the little window that is asking me to actually, or allowing me to actually place the order, I've probably checked out at click number 2, right? Yeah, so you have to map out what they're experiencing. And so let's give them some tips for small business owners who have never mapped out their customer journey. How would they go about doing this?
Okay, well, let's think about what a customer journey is. We're basically saying how many steps and what is the process for someone who found your business and they go and purchase something. So I would put myself in the shoes of a customer. So go on your website and try to purchase a specific thing. Know every single step that you have to go through. Or if you have an app, do the same thing with the app. How does the customer go about purchasing a specific item?
Yeah, so just to hit this home, let's say you own a pizzeria. All right. And what you would do is you would look at the touch points that customers have for placing the orders, right? So as a pizzeria, there are a couple different ways that people can place an order for a pizza. They can call in to the shop and place the order. They can walk into my storefront and place the order. They can download my app and place the order, or they could go to my website and place the order. And so as Chelsea is saying, for each one of these, you want to map out each individual journey, which would mean you would pick up the phone and call your pizzeria and go through the process. And the things you're looking for here is you're wanting to annotate the welcome message, right? What is that first initial introduction that they're getting to your pizzeria when someone picks up the phone? What
I would
verbiage
take it
are they
one
saying?
step. Exactly, and I would take it one step further. How long is it taking them to answer the phone?
Yes. And that right there is the key, right? So if it's taking you 2 minutes to answer the phone, I guarantee you have lost that pizza sale.
Yep.
Because someone's going to go elsewhere to do that. So like Chelsea said, that's all important.
And you might be thinking, okay, well, I lost that phone call, but they'll just go on the website. Well, they may or may not do that. And you really want to keep a consistent experience for your customers across all of your touch points. So if you know that people have a better experience on your website than they do when calling in to place an order, you shouldn't be ignoring that. You should be finding ways to fix your call service.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other part of it too is, so mapping out that journey, I think the one thing I want to add there is it's really important too to not forget the follow-up communication as well. So for example, something as simple as if you're using an app to place that pizza order, what I walk through, I ordered the pizza, what is that final window or that final communication or message showing on my phone as far as setting expectation for when my pizza's going to be ready? Or, whatever that is. But I think a lot of times what people do is they'll focus so much on the beginning part of the process and then they kind of peter out at the end and they don't even look at what the follow-up emails look like or the follow-up texts look like to their
Absolutely.
customers.
Something that I love, I order all of my phone cases off of Casely online. And as soon as I've placed the order, it always pulls up a map view of where it's being shipped to. And I know that sounds weird, but like being able to visualize that they know where they're shipping the phone case to, just it gives me like a sense of, okay, I'm not going to lose my package. I'll get my phone case. I'm not worried about it. And then what they also do is you can pull up that page afterwards when it's already delivered, and it'll show you where your delivery is.
Oh, so kind of how I guess UPS does whenever your package is on its way, and it shows you like it's in transit in North Charleston, South Carolina. It's out for delivery, and so it's showing you that like.
Yes, it's showing it to me, but I don't have to go to the USPS site or the UPS site. It's on the Casely site, so I don't have to do that extra step.
Right. So they've embedded that into there. Do you have a list of emails that you have collected from past buyers that is just sitting there getting dusty?
Are you looking for a way to build a long-term relationship with people so that your small business will stay top of mind for them? Want to increase your repeat sales? For every dollar spent on email marketing, businesses receive an average of a $42 return on their investment. And with an ROI like that, can you really afford to continue to let that email list sit there and just collect dust? Joining our Nothing But Emails monthly membership program means that you can sit back and reap the rewards of sending out monthly or bi-monthly communication while we craft the email and send it out on your behalf. For less than $100 a month, you can capitalize on this. Start today by visiting www.theseasonmarketer.com/services. The other component that's, I think, probably the most important is the data, the leveraging and the use of data that we have just on people and the way that they're interacting. So I'll give you a great example. Really, with an omni-channel strategy, what it does is it helps you to be able to put specific messaging in front of the right target audience or the right people. And so the way you're doing that is because you're collecting data at every part of these channels, or you should be, you're taking that data and then you're kind of like repackaging your messaging and your communication to deliver it to the people that are wanting it the most. So you'll see this a lot in like so like when we use the Starbucks example, the fact that Starbucks, through all of these channels, because that customer's the center hub, through all these channels that they're leveraging, they're actually collecting data on those ends, and they're bringing that data back, and then they're saying, well, I know for a fact that Vivian has, she's in there all the time, which I'm not, y'all. She's in there all the time, and this is her particular drink order. Or maybe I also know from Vivian's purchasing habits that she doesn't really go there for the drinks, but she goes there for the croissants or for whatever else, right? The breakfast sandwiches. And so then what they're doing is they're putting in front and sending emails and notifications on the app about stuff that's specific to what I like. Right? So that's going to increase my usage and me going into that Starbucks drive-through. So I think the data part is the part that most people just don't really give enough value to. So again, with the data, that's really where we're differing from multi-channel to omni-channel, because with multi-channel, we're taking the same messaging and we're just trickling down. But with omni-channel, we're looking at the data, analyzing it, understanding it, and changing our messaging based on that target audience. So again, it's really having a good understanding of who your target audience is, what kind of data points they're going to use or touch points they're going to use, who they are at each touch point. And that's going to help you create a much better connection with your customer to help increase, again, that brand loyalty, that customer retention. Have people wanting to come back to your small business.
Yeah, one of the best diagrams that I've seen has been like, okay, so it was like an extended arrow. So let's say this is the tip of the arrow right here. And what they talked about doing is kind of like what you said. So they were leveraging each channel through their omni-channel strategy. They were leveraging each channel for different purposes. So for example, for interest, to get them even interested in your product, they were using, like, let's say Facebook ads. And so the messaging for let's say you have a target audience, you have someone in particular in mind, the messaging when they are first introduced to your product is very different than the messaging that you take. Let's say if you're getting them from the Facebook ad to your website, right, to a landing page, then that communication differs a little bit because now they have a little more knowledge of your product and you're showing them different benefits, right? So Facebook ads, quick, catchy, capture somebody's attention. Then you're taking them to full-blown benefits. This is how we're saving you time, money, blah, blah, blah. And then they were using, let's say, an app for another part of that segmentation. And so it was really interesting because instead of having kind of like this umbrella approach, you're having and leveraging the actual channels to push and bump them along into those different parts until ultimately they are purchasing something from you. Absolutely. And I do think, like you said, we always talk about marketing. The most important thing is understanding your potential customer. So you have to get in their mind. You have to understand their patterns, their behaviors, what they're more than likely to do. So it's almost like, I don't know, it's a little bit like you're a magician and you're anticipating what the audience member is gonna be doing, right?
Yeah, it's really important to remember, like, a magician might have his favorite trick. That doesn't mean your audience is going to like it. Remember, you are in the minds of your target audience. It's not about you.
Yes.
Because you probably differ a lot from your target audience. Look, I am a marketer that absolutely hates ads. I will not look at them. I'm not, like, I just scroll right past them. There's something about ads.
I want everybody
that
to know that the seasoned marketer does not back that up.
Yeah. But
we do not condone it.
My point is, I still make ads because it's not about me. It's about what the target audience is looking for and what's going to catch their eye and what's going to bring them to a landing page.
Yeah. Well, and so it's interesting that you say that you don't like ads and whatnot, but here's the thing is, I guess that's the purpose of having an omni-channel strategy. At the end of the day, Chelsea, you as a consumer yourself do not like ads, but yet you download some apps, you utilize websites, you go through all of that, and really your journey through each one of those is what makes you come back for more, or what deters you from utilizing that product or service again. So going back to our topic, which is what the fuck is omni-channel marketing, let me just boil it down to this. And this is probably the most important part. The way I view multi-channel marketing is basically if I had a megaphone and I was saying, hey, come buy my product. It's the best product out there. This is what this product is going to do for you. With omni-channel, I don't have that megaphone, but instead what I'm doing is I'm sitting there watching the person, their habits, what they're doing on a daily basis, and I'm thinking about how can I serve up something that's going to be intriguing enough to them, and then also how can I make each one of those experiences so seamless that to Chelsea, it doesn't seem like I'm giving her ads, but I am, right? In some other form or fashion.
Absolutely. But it sounds less creepy than it sounded just now, you know. It's less creepy than that sounded.
I don't know, it's kind of creepy. I mean, I think the thing is, just remember, multi-channel I always equate to like you talking at somebody, right? So you're not really having a two-way conversation. And then with omni-channel, I just think that not to embarrass you, Chelsea, but when you were little, you were obsessed with Blue's Clues.
Okay.
So I kind of feel like Omni Channel is just a big Blue's Clues show where basically we're trying to collect clues, look at the data, and assess who the people are and what they like, and how basically we can just make those experiences great for them so that way they could keep coming back and utilizing our, the business, or coming back and engaging with the business for sure.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and give some actionable steps that people can do to really start their omni-channel marketing strategy.
First place you got to start, map out your customer journey. So if people can order something online, actually go through the process of ordering something online. They can call you to schedule an appointment, call to schedule an appointment. They can, you have a mobile app, go through all of the touch points and all of the ways that someone interacts with your business and see how that experience is.
And I think the second thing I would do is look at all of the channels that you are currently using, right? So a little different than what Chelsea said in the sense that look at how you're advertising your business. Are you using Facebook ads? Are you using digital ads on, a newspaper? Are you on billboards? Take each one of those and look at the messaging you have and ask yourself, how am I using these channels to push the customer through on their journey? So like right now you may be doing billboards and Facebook ads and let's say television advertising, and it may just all be the same message. So you may be just taking that megaphone and, blasting your message out. So ask yourself, is there a more deliberate or strategic way that I could utilize those channels to make it about the customer and their experience?
And lastly, you really want to, again, look at each of your touch points and look at what data you're collecting and how you can better understand your target audience, click-through rates, that idea. Or even if people are purchasing, go ahead and segmenting your target audience so that you can really personalize those messages to each of those segments. And if you feel like you're not collecting enough data or you're kind of uncomfortable with it, we actually did an episode on market research for small businesses. So go back and listen to that. It's really simple. There are some great simple ways for small businesses to collect data. But again, make sure you're collecting that data at every single one of your touch points.
Another piece of advice I would have in relation to that data touch points and just kind of looking at and assessing that is you're probably, a lot of times when we start advertising or we start using a new platform, we get really excited about it. We load all the information. We get our campaign set up. They start, and then we don't kind of go back to just see what all they have analytics-wise. So you may need to contact and see if, for example, you're using Shopify on the back end for your website. And it probably has, well, it does have data as far as like what's in people's carts and what they're buying. So to Chelsea's point, to where you could use to segment them into particular groups. So then you could deliver more targeted messaging to them to get them to purchase again. But if you just don't know what data you're collecting, if you've never seen that report, you may have to go back to Shopify and either do a quick tutorial, they probably have something online, or you may need to reach out to your customer rep just to ask them like, hey, show me your latest analytics. And that's the other thing is if you've been doing some of this advertising for a long time, over time, they add more features to this stuff and they add more data analytic tools. And so if you've used Shopify for 5 years, I guarantee you, if you have not checked out their most recent like data reports, you're missing out because they have probably beefed that up. All right, so I hope if anything today, we've answered very quickly and, giving you guys a good overview or understanding about what omni-channel marketing is, especially in comparison to multi-channel. marketing. We know that this is something that takes time, so you're not going to be able to develop an omni-channel marketing strategy overnight. It's not something you could just sit down for 2 hours and do. It's going to be a bigger project, but the key is the more you know, the better, and at least now you guys could be a little more strategic about how you're using these platforms. And if anything, at the end of the day, you guys know what we're talking about. You're consumers. You experience it. So just make it, like Chelsea said, make it as easy as possible to just have them navigate through all of those channels.
And just a friendly reminder, we do have a new podcast episode every Wednesday, so go ahead and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can find us at theseasonmarketer.com or on social media at theseasonmarketer. And go be the best S.O.B. you can be.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in, guys.